Numbers on the board, crew. As of Monday's close, the most valuable company in the world is Apple again. It was Nvidia on Friday. Now, companies trade places at the top all the time, and it is usually not news, friends. What makes this one worth your evening is the reason. Nothing happened to Nvidia's products, nothing happened to its customers, and nothing happened in California. What happened was a stock market listing in Shanghai. Here are the moves. Nvidia fell 4.99%, down to $196.51 a share, which takes its market value to roughly $4.76 trillion. That is about $250 billion of value gone in one session. Apple rose 1.17% and sits near $4.95 trillion. Look at the chart, friends. On Friday, those positions were reversed. Nvidia just over $5 trillion and Apple at 4.89. One trading day flipped the order. So what listed in Shanghai? A company called ChangXin Memory Technologies, which makes DRAM, the memory chips that sit alongside the processors in basically every device and every data center. It went public on the STAR market and rose 466% on its first day, raising $8.6 billion at a valuation around $487 billion. Friends, that is the largest mainland listing since Agricultural Bank of China back in 2010. A memory company most American investors could not have named on Friday raised $8.6 billion on Monday. And there is a second piece of news from the same day that fewer headlines led with, which I think is the more important half. A Shanghai state-owned enterprise is reported to have begun mass-producing immersion DUV lithography systems, 5 units this year, 20 next. Now, lithography machines are how chips get printed, and those specific machines are the ones American export controls were largely written around. The entire theory of that policy was that China could not make them domestically. This is a report that somebody has started. Watch where the selling went, because that is the market showing its work. SanDisk fell 11 to 12%, Western Digital about 7%, SK Hynix 6 to 8%, and ASML, the Dutch company whose lithography machines those export controls were built to protect, fell about 5%. Friends, that is not a bet against Nvidia specifically. That is money repricing every company whose value depends on China needing to buy memory and machines from somewhere else. Now a word about the numbers themselves, because the round ones flying around today are bigger than the sourced ones. That valuation is being reported variously as $487 billion, over $500 billion, and $540 billion. The debut pop is being called 465%, 466, and over 500. This desk is using the most precisely sourced versions, 487 billion and 466%, and telling you the others exist. And on what share of the DRAM market this company holds by 2028, analysts range from about 11% to about 18%. We are not picking one, friends. A forecast is not a fact. The fair shake, and there is a lot of it here. One trading session is not a verdict on anything. IPO pops of 400% routinely give a chunk back within weeks, and a debut valuation is a mood, not a balance sheet. Nvidia's actual business did not change on Monday. Same chips, same orders, same customers. And here is the strongest defense of the policy, friends, stated properly. Export controls were never sold as stopping China permanently. They were sold as buying time. Buying time is a real objective, and years of it were genuinely bought. But notice what the market was actually pricing, because it was not a chip. Money moved out of American and European memory and equipment makers on the news that a Chinese firm can raise $8.6 billion domestically to make the thing they sell. On the same day, another Chinese firm reportedly started building the machines they were told nobody else could build. That is investors marking down an assumption, friends. The assumption was that the bottleneck holds. Monday was several $100 billion of people deciding it holds less well than they thought. Ledger it. Nvidia down $250 billion in a session. Apple back on top. And the trigger was a memory company listing 11 time zones away. Watch whether that pop holds over the next few weeks, friends. Because if it does, Monday was not a market wobble. It was a scoreboard update. The market did not price a chip on Monday. It priced how the last decade of export control policy is going. See you at the next shift. I'm Marcus, and this is Pixel Politics.